This video was brought to you by Squarespace. There are many things to be thankful for this autumnal/winter holiday season. But you know what I'm most thankful for? The fact that it's so easy to build a website using Squarespace. Okay, maybe not most thankful, but it's pretty up there. Seriously, it doesn't matter if you have never built anything like a website and you don't know a thing about coding or anything. Squarespace is super intuitive. Anyone of any skill level can use it, no problem. And the end product is so slick and professional, people will assume you are a pro at this stuff. Formatting text and pictures, embedding stuff, creating and posting content, it's all equally easy. It's got lots of little time savers, like the ability to schedule posts and have them automatically pushed to social media. I'm clearly a particular fan of those features. If you want to go deeper, Squarespace offers loads of powerful extensions, and you can use the suite of built-in analytics to see how your website is doing. To try out Squarespace for yourself, head to squarespace.com for a free trial. Then when you're ready to launch, head to squarespace.com/Arlo to save 10% off your first website or domain. And now for today's recommendation, Crimson Peak. If you're looking for a spooky movie to enjoy this Thanksgiving, Crimson Peak is a horror in the style of a gothic romance. Guillermo del Toro is a visual storyteller, and the visual style of this movie is simply incredible. Maybe some of his best work. The whole movie is great, but you could watch it for the atmosphere alone. I would like to give thanks again to Squarespace, and also to my legs for carrying me off to the video, or something. It's pretty crunchy. Hello, my friends, and welcome to another episode of Spicy Take Salad. I went to Twitter and I asked you for your controversial Nintendo/greater gaming opinions, and now I have collected some of those opinions here on my computing device, and I'm going to read them, and we are going to talk about them. And it's gonna be fun, hopefully. Let's get started. Nintendo is right not to continue the Star Fox games. The series was low on ideas by 64, and at this point, there's nowhere left to go. I could not possibly disagree more with this take. To say that the series was out of ideas by 64, I do not understand that. I feel like 64 was the last time we had a Star Fox game that was just all the way perfectly good. Assault came close, but 64, like that was Star Fox right there. And I think that at that point, that was still the beginning, you know? Like, that was iterating upon the Super NES one, but it was really just kind of like redoing it for the more modern hardware. That, to me, still felt like it was setting the foundation of Star Fox. After that point, it felt like Nintendo did not feel that the gameplay was good anymore. Like they felt like the way to keep the series going was to keep adding on completely different gameplay elements onto it, you know, like that core formula just was not enough for them. No, Star Fox has got to be like a tactics game. It's got to be a dinosaur adventure. It's got to be basically like Star Fox 64, except the thing is that it's got bad controls. Like, there's always just something there that does not need to be there. There's still so much they could do with that core 64 formula. They need to take that gameplay and build around it, you know? Mess around with the level structure. Maybe there's like one big consistent world. There's so much more that they could do with just the story and all that stuff. Now, you say Star Fox was out of ideas on the 64. I say Star Fox has never really begun to actually explore its real potential. Thank you for the opinion. Look, I love Metroid as much as anyone, but I see people suggesting that it should be the next movie that Nintendo makes, and I feel like it's almost an objectively ill-fit series to adapt into a movie. Okay, here's the thing about Metroid movie. It is true that Nintendo will not do it, which is unfortunate. Metroid is just not big enough. It's just not. It would be super expensive to make, and it would not get enough ticket sales to make it worth it. So in that way, yes, it is not a good movie, not a good series to adapt. However, I just cannot agree with the idea that the series itself cannot be adapted. There is nothing you can say about Metroid that you couldn't also say about Mario. Mario was not a good series to adapt. Mario, just as a formula, as a concept, did not feel like it made sense as a movie. But They did it. We've been through this conversation a lot. Metroid is largely about isolation and all that, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. If you're adapting it into a movie, you could bring in some characters and stuff. And Metroid is so cool, it's so visual, it's got all these cool creatures, it's got action movie kind of stuff. Just look at the cutscenes from Metroid Dread. No, it could absolutely make a good movie. And if you want to go unnecessarily deep into this discussion, even if it might be a little bit difficult to make it into a good Hollywood movie, just thinking about the broader cinema perspective, you could absolutely make a cool Metroid movie that even plays in with the whole themes of isolation and all that stuff. You could make a Metroid movie with very little to no dialogue, just have it all just like be visual. Everything is just like, yeah, it's action sequences, it's cinematic framing and all that stuff. You could do that. It would be really expensive and it would not make enough money, but you could. In theory, you could make a super duper faithful Metroid adaptation. No one will do it, but you could. So I think realistically, making a Hollywood adaptation of Metroid is not likely, but then just like looking at the material itself, Metroid would make a terrific movie. It'd make a super cool movie. Pokemon has never been a quality series. It's fun, but not quality. Not true. Throw out all discussions about any kind of recent Pokemon games that have come out in the last few years, even in the last several years. Go all the way back to the Game Boy. Pokemon was the definition of quality on that platform. Even with its simplistic turn-based combat, Pokemon was as deep an experience as you could ever expect to play on a Game Boy. Hundreds of Pokemon to train, so much customizability, and these huge worlds to explore, especially like Gold and Silver. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. No, they packed so much into those little games. Those teeny, tiny little games. Yeah, say what you will about more modern stuff, everything like after the Game Boy, sure, but no. Back then, back in the beginning years, Pokemon was quality. Next opinion. Hardware limitations and crunch deadlines are better for creativity than top-of-the-line hardware and infinite dev time. Wow. That's an opinion right there. Hardware limitations, I kind of get where you're coming from, but that is way too broad. That is way too much of a generalization. Limitations can be good. We do have a lot of examples of really good innovations coming out of the gaming industry back when we didn't have all the processing power in the world. People had to work with their limitations, and they made some really good stuff because of it. But that's not necessarily how it works in every single case. There are many examples of games that we could not do back in the day, you know, like hardware limitations becoming less and less of a thing has allowed the game industry to really innovate and do new things and make more deep and complex games. So I can't necessarily agree with that. And then saying that crunch deadlines are better for creativity than infinite dev time, I mean, okay. Like, I get it. Sometimes people can work pretty well under pressure. Sometimes development can drag on too much if you don't have like a tight deadline and a good vision for what you want to do. I sort of get that idea. But look at the GameCube. Look at Wind Waker. That game has like 4 dungeons. That game was supposed to be so much more than it turned out to be. And it's because Nintendo was in a big, fat hurry. They were crunching to get that game done, and it was seriously hurt because of it. Super Mario Sunshine, it's janky, it's unfinished, it's got all of these super duper frustrating, purely unfun challenges, and it's because they were in a hurry to get it done. No, tight deadlines can get good work out of people, but like, that's just another thing. You cannot generalize and just say that that is objectively the best way to do it. Also, crunch, using the actual word crunch, no. Just so much no. Without going into the whole entire discussion of what crunch does to a person and their productivity and all that stuff, I will just say, even if crunch deadlines did help every single project, it doesn't matter. You don't abuse people to get better art. It does not matter what the end product is. Doesn't matter if it would be better. You don't abuse people to make better art. End of discussion! Next opinion. That one got me all fired up. Nintendo needs to step into mobile gaming more. While currently saturated with gross monetization practices, it has a lot of potential as a successor to portable gaming that just hasn't been capitalized upon. Street Pass, for example, would be perfect on mobile. 100,000% agree. Like, I know mobile gaming and greed and all that stuff, it's a touchy subject, but I am always baffled, just flabbergasted that Nintendo has not made a bigger splash in this sector. They come up with so many fun ideas. They know how to make these games that are just like really satisfying to play and get people playing together. They've got so many different IPs that would just work really super well on mobile phones that they just do not utilize. I know that there are ways to successfully monetize mobile games without getting into loot boxes and all that gross stuff, and I think Nintendo could do it, and it is just weird they have not tried it more, that they've not experimented more with different monetization models and all that stuff. Yeah, so yeah, I agree. I agree completely. They should be doing more. They should be doing more with mobile. They could be one of the very few big companies out there actually doing good work and not being greedy and gross. If anyone can be that one company to do mobile gaming right, it could be them. I think they just don't know how. That's what's so weird to me. I think they genuinely just don't know how, and it's a shame. Nintendo has every right to take down piracy sites, even for games they aren't making readily available to you. They have no obligation to provide a convenient way for you to purchase old games. Either pay for a secondhand copy or don't play the game. It's that simple. Here we go. Boy, it really is just such a big discussion. I really gotta try to boil it down to the essence here. Let's just break it down into its parts. Nintendo has every right to take down piracy sites, and they have no obligation to provide a convenient way for you to purchase old games. Both true statements. Absolutely true. And then we have every right to call them out on it and to criticize them for it. That's the thing. That's the thing about being free to do what you are free to do. They can do that thing. We can do our thing. They do what they feel is in their best interest, and we do what we feel is in our best interest. If tomorrow Burger King decided that they were going to stop selling burgers just overall and become Hot Dog King, well, then that would be in their right. They would absolutely be within their right. And we would be correct to say, that's stupid. It's a bad decision. They have no obligation to provide us with burgers. That is absolutely true. That doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. And then the big one, either pay for a secondhand copy or don't play the game. That's weird to me, because it's just, I don't really know what position you feel like you're in to present this either or fallacy where everyone should either do this one thing or this other thing. Here's the thing, there's other options too, like a lot of them, and we explore those options because it's not either or. It's not just this or that because that's the way you want it to be. Either pay for a secondhand copy or don't play the game. I'm sorry, I'm gonna go with a third or fourth or fifth option. There's no reason not to, you know? Like, I know that you wish those were the only two options, but the fact of the matter is they're not. Giant corporations are not the only ones who deserve to do what is in their best interest. We also do what is in our best interest. Thank you for the opinion. Splatoon should have ended at Splatoon 1. A lot of people love Splatoon, but overall, a series slowly eating itself alive through a lot of dumb changes, recycled content, really bad net play, and core gameplay always felt off from other third-person shooters. I am not gonna go into what makes Splatoon 1 different from 2 or 3. I'm just gonna leave that off the table right now. This is, I don't like to throw this around too much, objectively wrong. It is absolutely objectively wrong. The Splatoon series is only growing. Since the first game, it has grown so much. It continues to sell so well. It is now a tentpole series for Nintendo. The games are selling well. They are reviewing well. The fan base is only growing. The IP is only growing. Like, I'm sorry if you think the first one was like the only good one and it literally should have just stopped completely at that point, but like millions and millions of people clearly disagree, or at the very least they think it is good that the series kept going and they are still making more games. To say that the first one should have been the only one, like that's just purely wrong. I'm really sorry. N64 had the best controller of any console, past or present. Wow, I mean, I can definitely get behind the idea of it being your favorite, but I cannot say it's the best. It's just got too many things going against it. Lots of face buttons was really convenient, but then just like not having a second stick means that it's automatically at a huge disadvantage versus basically any other controller. You gotta choose between the stick and the D-pad. You can't really have both. You can't switch between them easily. And then just the control stick itself, really unreliable. Gets really, really shaky and loose over the years. Nah, I guess I just can't agree with that. Good opinion, though. For the past decade, indie game devs have been the ones innovating the industry, far more than Nintendo. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it almost goes without saying. Budgets have gotten so big, and big companies are less and less willing to take creative risks, and that's why people with really not as much to lose, just smaller budgets, they could just be weird. They can create strange projects, and that's really where the innovation is coming from, is people actually being brave enough to experiment. These days, like, almost all innovations are coming from indies. Absolutely. And Nintendo themselves, they've innovated a lot, but not really that much anymore. Like, not all that much in recent years. And I don't think that's such a bad thing. I mean, you don't always have to be the one doing something first, as long as you're still doing something good, Like, you can't always be the person to just, like, do the brand new thing and to push genres forward and to revolutionize the industry and all that stuff. It's just not something you can count on. It's not sustainable to always expect to do that. It's fine to just make good stuff. Well, we reached the end of another episode of Spicy Take Salad. Thank you to all the people who submitted your opinions. I am sorry, I got a little heated with some of those. I understand. I'm calm now. My heart rate is returning to normal. I'm sure. Let us know what you think about all these controversial opinions down in the comments, respectfully. And keep an eye out for the next time I put out a call for your spicy takes. See you later.